It's a good problem to have when you have a lot of options on offense, but just one ball to kind of try and figure that out. But can you go into a game, or should you saying, you know what, Terry McLaurin is our guy. We want to give him 10, 15 touches a game, or targets at least. And the same thing maybe for Antonio Gibson. This many touches to get in rhythm, to be able to have a certain amount of success. How do you approach that?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I think like the idea that you should be giving a guy a certain amount of touches is a little bit old school in terms of philosophy. I think what Scott said there in the interview is right on point. I think you want to take what the defense gives you, to put it as simply as possible. And what you get when you have all these playmakers is you don't feel reluctant to kind of go to your second option. You have Terry maybe as the primary, they take it away, the coverage dictates the ball should be going someplace else, and you feel comfortable with guys like Curtis Samuels, Jahan Dotson, De'Ami Brown, all those guys being a part and can contribute, but it's not forcing the ball. You're not kind of stagnating the offense by forcing the ball to one specific player.
You just mentioned a lot of other wide receivers, of which I think we've kind of really learned as well. To be successful, you don't need just 2 dynamic wideouts. You really need 3. Well, we have 4 because he said, don't forget about De'Ami Brown. He's shown flashes. They really want to work him further into the mix as well. Do you like the options of being able to a 4 wideout set?
Yeah, I think that's a big part. You know, NFL offenses now, like getting more speed on the field because it dictates a certain response by the defense. It dictates more coverage players on the field, and I think it allows you to kind of simplify coverages. They can't get to all their same defensive packages because you have new personnel on the field. That's an advantage for the offense. Why not exploit that? I also think using those 4 wide receiver sets to run the football a little bit is really, really forward thinking, and it'll be interesting to see if Scott does that. But it's nice to have guys you feel that can win in one-on-one situations that have speed and big playability.
You mentioned the run game. They bring in Robinson as well. He's kind of like that 1-2 punch, kind of like really in between the tackles. But you have AG you can maybe use out in space as well. And you can't forget about J.D. McKissick. How does that factor in if you have so many wideouts as well?
I almost think that this is a more difficult situation in terms of how you allocate running back touches, right? Because you've got McKissick, who's got a very specific skill set in terms of catching the football at the backfield. And then I think Gibson and Robinson are very, very similar, or more similar than people want to give them credit for. And I think that's important to note. And I think it's just about managing AG's health and kind of finding the best ways to use both players. You mentioned getting AG out in space a little bit more. I think that's going to be a big point of emphasis, or I would make that a big point of emphasis this offseason.
We'll see. Again, it's what Scott Turner says. He's got to be able to figure that out, or, again, the game will dictate where we go. But it's definitely a good problem to have.